I didn't want to deal with like the crazy downtown parking, so I took an Uber. And I was telling my Uber driver on the way here that I was giving a speech, and we started talking about like, strategies for giving speeches. And I told him that right before a speech, I just kind of pump myself up and I say, "You are the most awesome person." And he said, "Oh, so you use the strategy of denial." That's what he said. I was like, so he got a 1-star rating, but anyway. So I'm Madison. I'm a front-end engineer at a real estate tech startup called City Builder. Today I'm talking about deep work. Deep work is one of my favorite things to talk about, so I'm really excited to take a couple of minutes and talk to you guys about it today. This is a JavaScript meetup, so most of us are developers, right? You can probably relate to my experience at the start of this year. So at the start of this year, I got my first job as a junior developer. And that first month of working as a junior developer can pretty much be summed up by this picture that was taken of me at work one day. I realized that I needed to learn a lot of really hard, complicated things. And this isn't just true of junior developers. This is true of you at any point in your career as a developer. And if you can learn and master really hard things, you are pretty much always going to be a superstar of a developer, right? So I started thinking about how can I really learn and master these complicated, hard things. I read a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport. And Cal Newport basically says that if you want to learn and master hard things, you must train your brain to focus deeply. And you might be thinking, okay, I get it. If I want to learn hard things, I need to focus deeply. I can just go do that. I don't need to read a whole book on that. I get it. Yet, as Cal Newport points out, training your mind to focus deeply, that is a skill that's like a muscle. And if you want that skill to get stronger, you need to strengthen that muscle. Think about going to the gym. Say you want a really nice six-pack of abs. When you go to the gym, you don't just do a bunch of random exercises and hope that your six-pack will show up. What you do is you go and you pick certain exercises to target and strengthen those muscles. And that is what deep work is. Deep work is the ability to focus on hard things without distraction. And the more you do deep work, the better at it you will become. I'm going to talk about 3 rules for doing deep work. So Cal Newport's book covers a lot of stuff, but I'm going to talk about 3 rules that I think will really help you become a stronger developer and really helps me. So rule 1 is push your cognitive abilities to the limit. When you do deep work, you have to do work that's challenging for you, always. For me, what I do is I set a timer for 2 hours and I shut out everything and I focus on one hard coding problem, one that's very difficult for me to get through. And the plan is, when I started doing deep work, okay, focus on that one coding challenge for 2 hours. However, in reality, it took about 5 minutes, and then my mind was drifting to a million different thoughts. And that leads me to rule 2, which is bring your mind back to the task at hand. When I started trying to do deep work, my mind started drifting off immediately to a million different thoughts. I thought about, what my boss said or an email I needed to send later. And even right now, you guys have been listening to me speak for a couple of minutes now, and I like to think I'm a pretty engaging speaker, but your mind might be drifting. You might be thinking about, what you did at work earlier today, or what you're going to do at work tomorrow, or is there going to be more pizza and beer later because you didn't get enough earlier? And so when you do deep work, your thoughts are always going to drift off, but you have to each time actively bring them back to the task at hand. And that is how you train yourself to focus more deeply. Why does your mind drift off in the first place? Cal Newport studied this for a long time, and what he found is our minds are addicted to new stimuli. Think about when you're at the grocery store. You're standing in line and you're bored. So your mind looks around for new exciting stimuli. That is when you check your Facebook or you text your girlfriend, right? When you do deep work, you start trying to focus, and your mind is like, this is hard and boring. I want something new and exciting. And that's when you maybe you quickly check your email. The problem with this is something that Cal Newport calls attention residue. When you're doing deep work and your mind kind of drifts off, it gets hard and boring, you want to go look for new stimuli, you check your email really quick, you come back, or even your boss interrupts you and you come back. Your coworker sends you a meme. You look at it, you come back to your deep work. Here's the problem. When you come back to your deep work, that meme will still be on your mind for 25 minutes afterwards. And that means your attention is going to be fractured and you're just not going to produce as well as you could have. So a quick email check might seem harmless to us all, but really you're killing your ability to do deep work and to focus deeply. And on that bright note, so your mind is addicted to new stimuli, how can you break this addiction? So Cal Newport talks about schedule time to be distracted. He talks about scheduling blocks throughout your day. Well, first he says, give up social media and interruptions completely, but I'm being realistic here and going for another option he says to you guys, which is schedule blocks. So for me, I have 3 blocks throughout my day, every day. I have a block in the morning, I have a block in the afternoon, and I have a block at night. And each block is about 20 minutes. And during each block, I check my phone, I check my email, and I surf the web. Now, for the rest of the day, I don't do any of these things. I don't touch my phone, except for in those times. And so this is really hard for me for a couple of months now, because throughout the rest of the day, my brain is itching to check my email. It's like dying for some exciting email that's just waiting to be checked. And your mind is dying to check your email or look around for that new exciting stimuli. But I resist. I don't give in. And each time I resist checking my email, you teach your brain, no, you can't get any new exciting stimuli. You teach your brain, you can only focus at this hard task at hand. So each time you do that, you tell your brain, this is only what you can focus on. And you teach your brain to focus deeply on that one task. And that is deep work. That is how you will learn and master really hard things. Newport points out that our attention is so fractured today that if you have the ability to actually do deep work, you're pretty much going to become a superstar of a developer in the economy today. And so this is deep work. I have a 10-day challenge for you guys. Follow these rules for 10 days and just see a little bit of a shift in your attention. See what happens. Start to build your deep work muscle. And after 10 days, feel free to open up your email and email me and let me know how it went. Thank you.
Questions for Madison?
Yeah, Tyler.
I've been reading a little bit about Pomodoro lately, which is kind of like an opposite theory that you work really hard for 25 minutes and then you give yourself a 5-minute break. Have you heard about that, and do you have any thoughts on how that might be related? Or
Not really. I haven't really kind of done that. So Cal Newport would say that whatever you check in that 5 minutes is going to be on your brain for 20 minutes afterwards. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Gotcha. So maybe
I could check it out, but I'm pretty into
give
it.
your brain a rest, but don't like start looking at Facebook during that time or anything.
That's what Cal Newport would say. Yeah, he would say that there's this residue in your brain, some study that 20 minutes afterwards, it's still going to be on your mind. So I'm going to be on your mind for 20 minutes after the speech, by the way, everyone. So you're welcome. Yeah, anyone else? Yeah.
Did the book focus on how long the work block should be, like a 2-hour block versus a half-hour block or something?
Yeah, so he starts out saying that maybe like 90 minutes or an hour for a beginner. And even that is actually really, really hard, at least for me, to focus for that long on just one thing and bring your attention back every time. But yeah, he says to start out for 90 minutes, and he really goes into a lot of detail about it. And then later on, he talks about building that up a little bit more. Yeah. Thomas. I know everyone's name.
Do you develop any, like, I guess, strategies or tactics at work to help, like, protect these deep work blocks in terms of, like, do you
Yeah.
mute all your notifications? Like, do you have a way to convey that?
Okay, so that's a big thing, right? You're thinking, hello, I'm at work all day, my boss is going to interrupt me, I can't do deep work. So Cal Newport talks about that, and he actually talks about this being a major problem. So like there's a big fad right now, especially in Silicon Valley, of open space offices, where constant interruption is good because it helps the flow and the ideas of the company kind of coalesce. But Cal Newport says that that's actually destroying a developer's focus, and so when you're a developer and your boss is interrupting you all the time, that's actually not good for the entirety of the company. And he actually goes around and works with companies on implementing deep strategy work so developers can actually be learning more and growing. So for me, I work remotely, which has its pros and cons. It's probably going to change in a couple of months, and I'll deal with that later on. But because I work remotely right now, I have certain times I can go in and check my work Slack, and my team is okay with that, which is really awesome for me right now. So yeah, it's definitely a problem at work when you're kind of constantly interrupted, but you can try to do deep work at other times. Yeah.
You don't have to like give yourself a meeting appointment, like 2-hour blocks.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah, okay. And
How do you handle something like Slack?
how do I handle Slack?
Are you on Slack for work? Or?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, so I just do, when I have my block, when I have my 20 minutes, I go and I check my Slack and I work in there, talk to people, and then I don't go into my next, Cal Newport also says, like, if you have to be on every 2 hours, then you can go check, make a time. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to check, right? But the point is that you're not giving in that moment. Like, right after the speech, you're like, oh, I need to check my phone. If you don't give in and you wait till a certain time, you're training your brain that it's not always going to get new, exciting stuff. And when your brain knows that, it can get used to focusing on this one task and not, itching around for new stimuli. Yeah.
What about like music? Like I always like listening to like music, especially without words to help me focus.
Yeah, I don't think he actually talks about music. I listen to music a lot of the time, so that's a good question though. I email me and I will try to find out if that's in the book. Okay. Hi.
How do you deal with someone in the workplace like people email you every 10 minutes? You put that on the side and taking care of that on the blog, or you kind of?
I just turn everything off, which I know might be hard at work, but Cal Newport also helps companies kind of implement some deep work strategies that can kind of change those things for you. So yeah, it's definitely a big shift, but I think it can be really worth it.
Hey,
Robert.
I was wondering if you personally ran into this. So I read this book, and I'm like, everything in this book. But I've run into problems at work because I've had a few coworkers feel like personally offended because I'm not on Slack. I've actually had to like repair relationships with my coworkers because I was working, like, I don't know, just focusing on the problems that I had.
You guys, I just destroyed everyone's relationship in this room. I'm sorry. Don't do deep work.
Is your away messages?
Oh no, I was saying, is your away message like super aggressive or something? I hate you, don't talk.
No, I didn't know you could have away messages. You should have like a nice away message or something. But have you run into that at all, where people are like personally offended or for some reason that they can't contact you? Or?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just you, Rob.
It's just you. Okay, I think that's it. Oh yeah, sorry.
Do you find there's like a greater chance of burnout? Because if you're just like deeply focused on something, maybe you've got like a huge task for like a week or so, without the distractions to help keep you sane, maybe
Right.
you might feel burnt out.
That's actually something he talks about, which is really, really cool. So he talks about right now what we do is we do deep work and then shallow work all the time, like Slack and emailing coworkers, and maybe you're checking your Facebook. And we're always kind of lightly working, where you're not really going deep. You're maybe, it's 10 o'clock at night, and you're kind of tired, you're drinking a beer, you go, you check your email, you check your work email, and so you're never fully off, he says, when you're kind of like that, kind of in distractions, not really doing deep work. So what he says is deep work is being fully on, and it's supposed to actually your deep work burnout is not supposed to happen when you do deep work. So you do deep work and then you shut down at a certain point. And basically the idea is if you're turning off your phone and you're shutting off, you unwind even better because your mind isn't looking for some new email at 10 o'clock at night or like, a new distraction. You're like more fully kind of turning yourself off and relaxing. Yeah. Okay, great, thank you.